That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild. Strawberry ice, bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy fine is kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the roaring stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy fine is kicking down the door.
Guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm going to come to you live from the Ice Cave.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping required. Think Party Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. Their website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also, shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
That's right. We'll be live this Sunday, starting at 1 o'clock at the Moorline Lager House. If you guys have not gotten your tickets yet, please do. Please go to the Moorline Lager House Facebook page and get your all-inclusive ticket. That includes your alcoholic drinks and your food. If you guys don't want to do that, you can still come out and hang out with us. And they got a bar outside, not necessarily a bar, but a place where you can order drinks and stuff outside. You can still hang out with me. We got beer pong, we got cornhole, we got football shots, we got a DJ, you got me. We're giving away game day brewery of samples. We're giving away Moorline gift cards. We might be giving away some Cincy hats. Who knows? We are going to root the Bengals on to victory. At least I hope so. At least we're going to have fun Sunday. So make sure you guys show up to Moorline Lager House. What is up to everybody in the chat? We got Jerry's in there, Stranger's in there, Brookie's in there, B Mills, John Travolta, Pork Chop, Tony Blazin, Ronnie Ron. That's everybody that's in there. Welcome to the show. So we got a Who Dey Friday show. Now, I'm going to start this off. If the Bengals, and this is what I like to see them do. I would like to see the Bengals play a game as mistake-free as they can. Mistake-free football in general would be nice. If they play mistake-free football, then I think we got a chance to win this game. Because that's been, in my opinion, the biggest problem that we've had. We keep turning the ball over, missing assignments, and not blocking people, and things of that nature. So if they actually do that, and the thing is, guys, we've seen this before. I don't know why, but Zach Taylor cannot get his team to play good in September and October. That's with Joe Burrow, without Joe Burrow, it's the way it is. We're in October. We are 2-2. We need to win this game. Zach needs to win this game because his seat's going to get really hot really quick, if it's not hot already, if he loses on Sunday. We'll see what happens. But first, in the waiting room, we have the guy from Cincy Jungle. We got the guy from the Orange and Black Insider Podcast. He is one of the best podcasters around, writers around. He is the man. He is Anthony Cosenza. What's up, AC? Are you there, Anthony? you were just okay. I don't know what's going on. He was perfectly fine. He was there, and now he's frozen. I did all this big intro. There you are. Are you back? I don't know what's going
on. I think so.
Can I hear you? Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Hey, do me a favor. Jump off and jump back on. I don't know what's going on. We'll do that. And then we'll get to my other guest. Dale Altman's coming here later. He's going to be a little late. But we got one of the best follows on Twitter, one of the best follows in Facebook. He is from Who Dey Nation, the Facebook page. He also runs WDN on Twitter and Facebook. He is the one and only Josh Iles. What's up, Josh?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How's it going?
Good. Anthony, are you back? Anthony, are you back? I don't know if Anthony's back yet.
I don't know.
Oh, wait. Hey, there, I can hear you.
He's underwater.
That was last week. All right, he went away. We'll see. He was perfectly fine before we started the show. Last week he was on a train and he sounded like he was underwater. So we'll run it just you and me until Anthony gets here, and Dale's running a little late. But Josh,
that's good.
We are 10-point underdogs. Nobody thinks the Bengals can win. Half Who Dey Nation doesn't think the Bengals can win. Hell, I'm not even sure the Bengals can win. But if they can play mistake-free football, they got a shot, right?
Maybe. It's hard to say. The past couple of weeks really, really shocked me how they went so badly. Even last week, I thought, like, based off the worst loss in franchise history, I was like, watch, it'll be so Cincinnati of us to go around and go win this game on Monday Night Football because it's the thing that makes the least bit of sense.
Right.
And then it just went pretty much exactly how the game against Minnesota went, and they just got absolutely dominated.
Yeah. That was the thing. I thought for sure last week they at least would show up and play better. And the funny thing is,
I thought they were going to cover.
Yeah, the first drive looked fine. I mean, I wish we would have got a touchdown instead of a field goal. And then the second, they got Denver 3 and out. And then the second drive looked good until they called that awful false start on Ted Karras. And then Ryan
that wasn't the only awful call, though.
No, but that was the first one. That one was just blatantly terrible. And then Ryan Rico has the worst punt of the entire night. And then it's just downhill from there. I mean, it was just we couldn't line up on sides right, Josh. I mean, it was frustrating. AC, are you back?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah. Look at Tony in the chat calling me out about the train stuff again, man. Good God. I mean, come on. Give a guy a break. What's going on? Josh, good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you, Anthony. How's it going?
Well, it's going. It's going,
right.
You know.
He's not on a train, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Not on my way to see another team I lose, like I was last time I was on this show.
So, Anthony, I asked Josh this. My theory is this would be such a Bengal thing that nobody believes they can do this, and they turn around and they squeak one out against Denver against Detroit. But I want to see them at least what this team looks like if they can play mistake-free football. Quit making so many stupid penalties, line up offside, just dumb stuff like that should be fixable. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, can this, because I keep looking at it this way. This team is not, and James Rapin's the first one to say this team is not talentless. They have talented players on this team that should be playing better than they are, but we're not right now because we're making too many stupid mistakes. Do you think if they clean that up, we got a shot at this thing?
So Vikings game was about turnovers and ridiculous returns for touchdowns and all that kind of stuff. Last week Monday night against the Broncos, they cleaned that part up a little bit. Jake Browning didn't throw an interception and that sort of thing, but they had penalties galore. So I agree with you on the mistakes thing, but Ice, they need to be explosive on offense. They need to find ways to, at least if you're going to lose, make it entertaining. I mean, good God, it's just like, dude, what are you guys doing out there? I said this earlier today on our Friday show. This is a really interesting game to me because this is I'm struggling to think of the right phrase. It's not mirror image, but it's kind of the reversal in terms of the teams and how they built their teams a little bit. and their head coaching personas and that sort of thing. If the Bengals come out at home and get their doors blown off them again against a team that has fortified their offensive line, and oh, by the way, with two guys that were linked to the Bengals, Penei Sewell and Tate Ratledge on their offensive line, and they have a head coach that is, personality-wise, diametrically opposites from each other, and you look at the investments that the Lions, who have been historically a lot like the Bengals in terms of futility and lack of championships and all that kind of stuff. If the Lions come in and they, again, do what a lot of people think they will do, which is get it a decisive win against the Bengals, that should be a pretty telling sign, not only to the team itself, the brain trust and everyone, but also the fans watching, saying, as weird as it may sound, the Lions have built their team in a way that is sustainable, that is the right way to build a team in the NFL. I know the Bengals have made investments on their offensive line and their defensive line, but infrastructurally, coaching personalities, all that kind of stuff. It's just, to me, the result of this game is going to be very interesting, just from that simple perspective, because two teams with similar historical paths, but the Lions have just built a team that is a bit more sustainable right now than how the Bengals are built. But for me, the key to this game, you can talk about mistakes and all. You have to not only have big plays on offense, but you have to have the threat of continuous big plays on offense in this one for the Bengals to stand a chance.
And that goes back to me where I said a couple shows, actually I think it was yesterday, Jake Browning, I think, was so concerned about not turning the ball over that he missed throws, because I said again, Troy been pointed out at least twice on the show Monday night. Jamar Chase is wide open down the seam. He was wide open. He checked down both of those.
Yep.
If he hits one of those or both of them, one of them's going for a touchdown, probably one with Jamar. If he does that, that gives him the confidence that I can rip it. I can do this, buddy. And that's where I think Jake, he needs to go out there and just play Jake Browning football. And we're going to have to deal with it because he's going to throw interceptions, but he's got to push the ball down the field. We have to do that. Yes, you can dink and dunk, but you got to have something to scare the other team. And right now we don't. Josh, go ahead.
No, I don't want to cut Josh off. I just want to say, I just want to just tack onto that real quick. The turnovers, are key, but Browning threw 3 picks in a half of football, and the Bengals still won because he was taking chances and he was making risks, and they were making big plays. So yes, the turnovers are key, but it's that big play component that he needs to recapture. So sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
We didn't have that at all last week. That's kind of what I was saying, Jake. To me, and I don't know if I'm grasping straws, but that's what it looked like to me. He was more concerned about not turning the ball over. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, and it's almost like after that Jacksonville game, where Jake technically led the comeback. Obviously there's other efforts there, but they were down 14-7 when he came in.
Right.
And then the next couple games, I think it's almost the shift of him becoming the starting quarterback in those next couple games. Then you have that's when the game plan shift occurs, because the offensive line is like, they weren't great in the first couple games, but past that they've just they've gotten worse. Suddenly just regressed horribly. And you see these examples of the one that was a meme all week of the 5-on-3 3-man rush, and the guys just ran past the tackles, and that has to be sure there's schemes, but that has to come down to communication. Like what's Ted Karras telling them on the line, and how's this getting echoed down the line? Because you've got veterans and guys that are on our offensive line that have had success in the NFL. So I don't know how they just suddenly forgot to play football, but it kind of seems like that right now.
Well, hopefully it's home sweet home here, because Jake Browning, when he's throwing to T and Jamar at home, which has only been one game, but it was not just one game. This is his whole stats, I think. It was 68 receptions, 799 receiving yards, and 7 TDs. That's at home. So
I agree, though. I did like in that game where he came in against Jacksonville. I said it that day. It was very much a gunslinger mentality. He was just he's like, I'm going to get it out on the perimeter to my playmakers and see what happens.
That's what he has to do. I mean, that's where where he's missing those. I don't think the first week and definitely not the second week. I think he rips those throws down the seam, and he wasn't that night.
Yeah, throw 50-50 balls to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and see what happens.
Because he kind of did in the end zone to T, but he didn't loft it enough.
Yeah, it was a little low.
Yeah, it wasn't. T never really had a shot at it. So that's where I think Jake needs to get to that. And the biggest thing too, and the other thing is you talked about, Josh, this offensive line has got to play better. And the thing is, like, it's not, and like AC said, the Bengals have put money in the offensive line. I get tired of people say, well, they haven't put any money in the offensive line. Well, that's not true. They have. They put a lot of money in this offensive line. I don't know if they put the money in the right guys, maybe, because I did not think they'd be this bad. Honestly, I thought.
I don't know though. I think there's to sidetrack in that conversation with the offensive line a little bit. I was looking at this week, and since Zach Taylor's been in Cincinnati, his best ranked offensive line, I think, according to PFF, was 20th in the league, and that was the Super Bowl year. So and then beyond that, every other year he's had 30, 30, 30, 26, 28. Like those have been the offensive line since he's been here in Cincinnati. There's been 3 offensive line coaches. Like you said, we've spent money on guys. We brought in guys that have done things in other places. Currently, you've got OBJ, who was a really good starter for the Ravens and Chiefs. And then you've got Dalton Reisner, who we brought in, who had over 80 career starts in the NFL. Like he's not some guy that doesn't know what he's doing out there, but he's looking like it right now. I think there's
Rivers out there.
I've never been like this. I've always liked Zach, but like he kind of seems like the common denominator right now, and what's going on.
Unfortunately, yeah. Hold that thought. We got one more guy coming in here. He is from Cincy Jungle. He is a writer from Cincy Jungle. He drinks a lot. He knows things. He's Dale from Bengals and Brews. We're going 4 wide, boys.
That's perfect timing. We're talking about firing Zach Taylor. I'm all the way out. I defended this man last year, to be fair. I was like, Jake Browning won a few games when Burrow was out in 23. The offense is humming, even though he didn't make the playoffs. And Zach is in control of that offense. This year, I'm out. I'm done. It's time. You got to make a change. That's where I'm at with that. But good to Steve.
I'm not, like I said, I am not there yet. I'm getting closer to it. And like AC, like you said, if they go out here and they get their doors blown off, then yeah, there might be a chance Monday I come in and say we might have to change. But the thing is, if you make a change, it's not, to me, it's not just Zach, it's Duke, it's everything, because you can't blame all of this on Zach. Some of this is talent evaluation where I think we've missed. That falls on Duke.
I'm talking about end of the season because you're putting an interim tag on Al Golden, and then you're taking away from what he can do as the defense coordinator. I'm not even saying fire Zach in season. It's honestly
I don't see the point to doing that.
It's getting close to a lost season if we have another loss or two. But these 2 weeks, and that's the thing, we are 2-2. I fully understand that. If we go out and beat Detroit, we're all the way back in, right? But I said that last week. If we go out and we beat Denver, we're all the way back in. But it's the way it's trending, the way it's looking, how uninspired this team looks, how poor the offense is playing, that it just feels like this is a conversation we're going to continue to have about Zach and his future. So when I talk about firing Zach, I'm talking about at the end of the season. And who has a chance to change all that? Zach. He has the control of that. Well, I don't have to pay him. He does.
We talked about this when he fired the defense coordinator, Lou, and the offensive line coach. And I think I was on your show or you're on mine, I don't remember. But I said this, to me, puts, if this season doesn't go good, the emphasis on Zach, because he even came out and said that he's the one that fired him and it was his choice and these are his guys and yada, yada, yada. And so far, this offensive line and the coach that he picked hasn't looked good at all. So, I mean, like I said, I'm with you. If they fire him, wait till the end of the year. I don't think firing him during the middle of the season really does any good.
Well, now there's been multiple media members that are former players, Whitworth and Orlowski, who have both come out and talked about how Zach Taylor's schemes are just like so for some reason significantly harder to block in, and they just like don't set these players up for success. Whitworth obviously being a former like almost Hall of Fame offensive tackle, saying this, and then Orlowski, who watches a ridiculous amount of tape. Like I said, there's a common denominator there. That's all I'm saying. It's just like
Yeah, these guys don't. I mean, why is it that suddenly Orlando Brown, and granted they maybe came from two stellar franchises and whatnot, why is it all of a sudden that Orlando Brown, he hasn't completely fallen off a cliff talent wise, but why has his level of play been much lower than with the prior two teams he has been at? Why is Marius Mims, why is he struggling in year two? I want to talk about a lot about what Josh and Dale just said. Number one, John and I discussed this on our show a few days ago. The Bengals in their system and Zach Taylor's system puts a lot of pressure on this offensive line to block one-on-one, to be able to do a lot more pass protection than many other teams. And that's a harder go of it for a lot of respects in terms of offensive lines across the NFL. The other element, though, yes, Josh is correct that this offensive line, no matter if it's freaking Jim Turner, Frank Pollock twice, whatever, this offensive line, there is a trend there. There is not a development that is happening there. And so they've tried drafting guys. It's been hit and miss. They tried bringing in free agent guy. You mentioned Dalton Reisner, Josh. That's a guy who's been steady in pass pro his entire career. All of a sudden he gets here and he sucks. I mean, that's where it's like, what is, as Josh mentioned, what is the common denominator? It is Zach Taylor, and it is this system that puts this offensive line in precarious positions. I find it ironic, Josh, that you mentioned that the Bengals' best offensive line overall ranking was that Super Bowl team, because across the board, especially the one they trotted out in the Super Bowl, was like, who are these guys?
It almost shows it as a fluke year.
Yeah. But this dates back even prior to Zach, though, and I always pinpoint the critical moment. You mentioned Andrew Whitworth, when the Bengals drafted Cedric Ogbuehi and Jake Fisher, and then they tried to scramble for Billy Price and all that stuff. This offensive line, since they pivoted from Andrew Whitworth, they put those guys in, no matter if it was Paul Alexander, the offensive line coach, Jim Turner, Frank Pollock twice, or Scott Peters now. This offensive line has struggled, and it has to do with the system. It has to do with the situations that they are placed into, and it really doesn't matter whether it's Joe Burrow or Jake Browning under center, because they're both getting hit often and too much.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Josh made a great point. Well, that's the common denominator. So it's kind of like, if we can see that, why can't Zach see that? Can't he? And I have no idea. I'm not an NFL coach. How hard is it to change?
They're the smartest guys in the room, Ice. That's what. And I always talk about the Bengals' overconfidence and who they have in the building and their own personnel decisions. That's why they think they can get by with the smallest scouting staff and get by with doing some of these things. They've made a lot of big positive movements as an organization over the last handful of years. Don't get me wrong. I want to credit them for that. But they pride themselves as being it seems like the smartest people in the room, so to speak. And when they get overconfident in that, you rely on guys that are either past their prime, don't fit the system, whatever. And I think, unfortunately, that nice 21-22 couple of years there, you saw some of these things come to fruition, and now you're starting to see kind of old trends come up to the surface again these past few years.
Exactly. Ronnie says somebody just got picked up.
And I'm laughing, and that's what I was going to bring up. It's Jordan Jefferson, who the 49ers picked up from our practice squad.
Oh.
And then they released him.
Now we got
so we signed him back to our 53 in order to pick him up, because they tried to put him on their practice, whatever it was, and we released Howard Cross. So it's just a guy that we had already picked up, a 4th-round pick from Jacksonville. Just a year ago. We have 2 of those. We have an offensive tackle and a defensive tackle. This is the defensive tackle. Whatever. We didn't think enough of him to bring him to the 53 in the first place, but they're like, wait, the 49ers are interested?
Well, that's what they – all right. So did you guys watch any of that game last night? The 49ers are more injured than we are. We literally just lost Joe Burrow.
Tight end, 3 receivers, Nick Bosa for the season.
And
Money Mac Jones, baby.
Right. Even Mike Jones is playing out there hobbled. He was beat up.
And look what they did. I'm like, so why the hell we're missing a big piece. Joe Burrow is way better than Mac Jones,
and Brock Purdy, right? Who he's replacing.
He's still better than Brock Purdy, but still, it's like, why can't we at least be competitive. Why are we getting our asses handed to us?
So we're going back to coaching again. We're going back to Zach Taylor. We're going back to the reason that I fill out. And like, listen, I think he's a great guy. I think that he done good things here, but sometimes voices get still. It's kind of the same thing with Lou on the defensive side of the ball last year. Hey, we appreciate what you done, but you can't. When Zach talked about a week or two ago, them going to the Super Bowl, them going to the AFC Championship, I was like, we're cooked, man. That was 3 years ago, Zach. You cannot be bringing that up. Like, you can. What are we doing?
That was a huge turning point for me too. Hearing that, I was like, "What are we? We're resting on laurels from a season 4 years ago now." I agree with you, Dale. That was actually like a big point in the change of my opinion with it too.
But they say, good.
No, I'm sorry.
No, we're all just sit back and relax. We're gonna kick this around. That's what we
got this, bro. We got this, bro. No,
I just sit there and put comments up. I'm good.
no. I'm sorry. I keep stepping on toes. I hate doing that. I'm sorry. That's one thing that has always bothered me about the Bengals in terms of their approach to things, where a lot of teams. What was it? The Falcons, when they made the Super Bowl and they had that epic collapse, obviously, but Dan Quinn, what was it, a year or two after he was fired? And because that team wasn't performing. I'm not calling for Zach Taylor's head per se. But if this season continues the way it is, you obviously need to look that way for sure. But the Bengals have been a far less of a what have you done for me lately team, and compete for your starting spot, your job that you currently have in hand type of team than many others in the NFL. And they get comfortable. They get comfortable with guys they know. They get comfortable with players they know. And at some point you have to be like, I love their loyalty. Loyalty is one of the best traits you can possibly have as a human being or as a business or what have you. But loyalty can be taken advantage of.
Right.
And so unfortunately the Bengals have learned that lesson the hard way. And my fear, to Dale's point, my fear is, let's just say, and I don't want to be negative Nancy over here, but let's just say this season spirals out of control. This is a 5-6 win season, that sort of thing. Joe Burrow pretty much doesn't, or maybe comes back for a couple of games. My fear is, with this season going out of control, this team will say, like Josh and Dale said, they'll look back 4 or 5 years in the rearview mirror, but this guy got us to the Super Bowl, and we didn't have Joe Burrow, this year. And so that's their embedded excuse to continue to ride with who they have. Now, we've seen Zach in this crew, even Jake Browning, get to a point where you say, hey, this is pretty competitive. We're right there in it. Maybe that happens again. I really hope it does, because this brand of football we've seen the past 2 weeks has just been atrocious. Awful. So, nowhere to go but up. But really, if this trend continues as a 5-6 win season, my biggest fear is, instead of, hey, Zach, you've already cleaned house on so many assistants, you've had scapegoats galore. It's time. The Bengals have just not been that franchise traditionally. They have been guys to say, oh, they've had embedded excuses to keep people around and keep positions on their team, and it's hurt them.
Well,
and we can only talk about Jeff. Calm down. This is my show now. This is our show, the three of us.
I'm the captain now.
What I was saying is,
Go ahead.
Well, all right, I'll make this point real quick, and you guys keep going. The thing is kind of what AC says. If they, which I think this will probably happen, they'll probably come back, and they'll, especially into the season, that's what they always do, and they'll win a couple games or whatever. And Joe might come back and be like, hey, we're not that far away, and that's most likely what's probably going to happen, and they'll keep Zach. But the thing is, if they do, because you know that's what happens a lot. But if the season does completely spiral out, which if we're not going to win the playoffs, I kind of hope it does. So it's so bad that they have to make changes. And the thing is, not only changes with Zach, and I love Zach, it's not any Zach hate, but maybe we need to move on from him, is they also need to, I think, change Duke Tobin too. They need to get somebody else in there, because the player development they haven't developed the guys. We haven't drafted the right guys, haven't developed them enough to make impacts. That's where it's not only for me, if you're going to change everything. All right, go ahead, Dale. I'm out. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I completely agree. That's why the topic of Bengals and Brews today wasn't just fire Zach Taylor. It was like, is it time for Zach and Duke to go? Because 25 years, and it's just one of those things that is tougher to talk about than firing a coach because he doesn't have a GM title. And I believe his title is basically Mike Brown's bastard son. That would be like Mike firing Katie and Troy.
Right.
I mean, that's what it would feel like to me. And
Probably.
I'm joking a little bit about that, but that is what it would feel like because that's a long time to have a guy in there. And, yeah, you've hit on some picks. You know, most of those picks was Marvin Lewis era when they weren't like early round picks. They've hit on a lot of top 10 picks, and that means you suck to have top 10 picks, top 5 picks, an A.J. Green, a Jamar Chase, a Joe Burrow, you know, those type of picks that you hit on. Well, you can do that when you're in the top 5 a lot.
So my thought real quick, and somebody said in the chat, bring Marvin Lewis back. I don't necessarily want Marvin Lewis back as the head coach, but I would like him back as Duke Tobin. How would he be as that? Because I think like you just said, they've done a better job of that. That's just a thought throw out there. AC, you don't like that? Go ahead.
No, I like maybe a consultant type of thing. I mean, look, looking at things from a holistic perspective as the Bengals or at the Bengals, Marvin Lewis, you continue to have to applaud what he did for this football team because before him, he was a culture changer. Now you can talk about the playoff losses and obviously all that stuff, but I still applaud him for what he did overall for the team. I like, you know, the idea of, hey, if this spirals out of control at some point, you got to make some holistic changes from, you know, even front office stuff. But the problem is if the Bengals do not change the infrastructural way of their organization, if you get rid of Duke Tobin, you have to find like a wonderkind to go in there. If you don't have if you don't expand your scouting staff, if you don't have assistants to do Duke Tobin's position, if you don't have, you have to basically bank on, we're going to get a bunch of Sean McVays in these critical areas or these, you know, these Pete Carroll, whatever. You have to, and that's what the Bengals bank on. They're like, we have to like basically strike gold at head coach. We have to strike gold at our de facto GM. So you can run these guys out of town, and that's fine. But until you still structure your team like so many others and many other successful franchises in the NFL, you're going to keep kind of coming back to this conversation over and over again because the staffing might not be there as it is with other teams.
Are you just going to get rid of Duke and then bring in one other person? Or
you're just going to – they would –
That's my point.
What they would do is just promote Troy Brown, who's been the assistant.
Right.
That's
I can do that. But like, can we hire 8 scouts and can we, you know?
Well, we need to hire. They need, like AC said, they need to change everything. But they do exactly what Dale said because Brown has already been interviewed for other GM jobs. So they're like, oh, we got one right here. So we'll just promote it. That's exactly. I
want to go back to what AC's saying because we know what they're probably going to do. But as fans, we can talk about what we think maybe they should do. And I agree with that structural change. And it's something I've been saying as well is like they need to hire a president of football operations and a general manager. And they have to stop meddling in any of the football stuff as a family. People to do contracts can be one of those people, or it can also be you hire outside lawyers and people that just do your contracts. Now, I know we're talking about they're hiring multiple people to do multiple jobs to run $1 billion business, but that's what they should be doing because it's $1 billion business.
Exactly.
But, I mean, that's my honest opinion as well, AC, and I think that's a great point. If we talk about the changes that need to be made, because you can't you can't just say get new ownership. That's not how it works.
And that's not going to happen. And everybody keeps saying, the Browns need to sell team. That's never going to happen. It's always going to be owned by the Browns.
Never.
But you can hope your ownership wises up at one point in time and hires a president of operations, hires a general manager, and lets those people hire a head coach.
Right.
And then you know what that head coach needs to do? That head coach needs to hire his entire staff, not have any holdovers because he's a favorite of Mike Brown or Katie or Troy, because we see that every time we get a new D coordinator or offense coordinator, we still keep half the staff or one or two guys that are already position coaches. You have to give full power to a president of football operations, a GM, let them hire their head coach that they want to hire, and then let that head coach hire his people. That's how it should work to run an NFL franchise.
Exactly. Now I waited for you guys to talk, and nobody talked.
No, it's really, and I feel bad. I keep trampling over Josh, especially, so I apologize. But
we got four guys. So it's kind of hard.
It's really what we're talking about. Again, if we're saying get rid of Zach, get rid of the this year was about the assistant offensive or the assistant coach purge, and that's going to be the answer, right? The coordinator level and below position, that's going to be the answer to things. These are all, and I don't want to keep banging on Bengals ownership and that sort of thing, but these are all symptoms of a bigger problem. These are all symptoms of a bigger problem, and I think we all recognize that. And that's why I preface the show, Ice, with this is a really interesting game because the Lions, in a way, are a mirror image of the Bengals in terms of NFL futility, and they have made a lot of investments at multiple levels of their organization to find the right people, ample staff, competent staff, that sort of thing. And so if the Bengals get run out of their own house by the Detroit Lions, who have built this team a certain way, I think you, as a Bengals team, you got to have a hard look in the mirror and say, how are we running things? What are we doing? Because we can keep running guys out of town. I credited Marvin Lewis, and he didn't get the playoff wins, but he was hamstrung in a lot of different ways too. So, you can keep running guys out of town at the mid management level, so to speak. But until stuff gets this trickle down thing in order and in a way that is how competent and successful NFL franchises run their business, we're going to keep addressing this thing every few years, it seems like.
And there's one guy I think that could, if he said anything, could do that. Could get to the Bengals to do that, and that's Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow could say, look, do you see what these other NFL teams are doing? Do you see what they're doing? Do you see how they're run? We need to do that. That's honestly, he's the only one I think that they would listen to, because he went out and said, I want Jamar, I want Chase, or I want Jamar, I want T, I want Mike G, I want all these guys, I want Trey. They gave it to him. None of us thought they would get all of them, but he did. So that's, to me, that's the one guy that they could listen to. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I have a perspective here with the Joe Burrow thing. It's not necessarily what I believe, but saying that I feel like it's a possibility, which is with Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor and how that's evolved over the years and how this offense has evolved over the years. Do you think it's possible that Joe has too much power and Zach does not know how to say no to Joe? And that can create a problem with how your offense flows, how you have balance, how your offensive linemen know how to run block. If you're sitting in a shotgun and always dropping back, you don't have confidence to run block. So sometimes I think it would be refreshing if you did have to reset the head coach situation. You brought in a guy that was willing to tell Joe when it's the incorrect read or where he needs to make a different decision. As well as going with what makes him comfortable and what he's most successful at. But there's an ebb and flow of that. Long conversation short, if I did a fantasy hire, that person that would hold him accountable would be John Gruden.
I would be opposed to that. And the thing is, too, like you said, the other thing, because I've talked about this when Joe got hurt, that Zach needs to have a conversation with Joe going, hey, we need to not go 5 wide every single time. We need to at least have more guys, running backs or tight ends back to block.
That first drive of the season felt like this light bulb moment to me, where the first drive of the season, I was like, oh man, maybe we're finally getting it. Maybe we understand that with this dynamic passing offense and Joe Burrow, we can set that up even more by getting the run game going and getting these offensive linemen focused on mauling guys in front of them. And that first drive against Cleveland, we marched down the field, just handing the ball to Chase Brown every play and then mixing in a pass here and there. And then they just, from there on out, got right back away from it and never looked back.
We've seen that before. We've seen Zach do that, where he he does like, oh, finally, you're doing what we want you to do. And then,
you're like run the ball to set up the pass, and then
the only game I remember him ever like consistently running the ball, and I'm actually going, I can't believe we're still trying to run the ball because we had such a hard time, but it did work. Was out there in Vegas. We had Joe Mixon.
Yeah,
they kept running, and they kept stopping it, but it finally broke. And Mixon, I don't if he had 100 yards, I don't remember, but that was the one game it seemed like he was determined to run the ball, and that's kind of hard too. With this offensive line, where they're all pass blockers and none of them are run blockers, to all of a sudden change like, all right, guys, we got to run block here more. And again, you're changing your philosophy, changing your scheme. It's kind of hard to do that when that's not what the guys do best.
But why aren't you draft? This goes again to the hierarchy of the team. Why then aren't you identifying the right offensive linemen or the right coaches or the right people to develop the people for the system that you have in your mind's eye, right? Like you think you do, but they're still struggling. Even a first round pick in Amarius Mims looked good last year, has had some struggles this year. We talked about OBJ and his fall off and play a little bit from his days from two previous teams. Why are you not then doing enough homework, I guess, to find the guys that say, look, if we're going to go, because Joe likes the spread, shotgun spread, where he can see everything and all of that. And I agree with Josh. And this is another thing where even in the you can go to Monday night too. The Bengals' first scripted drives this year have more or less been, they're moving the ball, they're getting points, they're doing things. And beyond that, they're lost, whether it's Browning or Burrow under center. So I guess where I'm going is, look, they've brought in so many offensive linemen from so many different walks of life and different avenues, free agency, draft, different rounds, all that kind of stuff. Why then is it still not clicking? Why then are they still so low? Because if you're doing your right homework and you bring in the right people, and if you know you're going to throw the ball a ton, you're going to go in spread formation a ton, then find the right film, find the right guys that fit that system and can hold up in that style of play. And I just think they just, for some of these guys, they're like, well, this guy's pretty good in pass pro overall. Orlando Brown's a 4-time Pro Bowler. We'll just plug him and play and it's going to work. And that's not always how it goes. It's just not how it goes.
Now, Cole King brought up a interesting thing here. He said the Bengals seriously consider trading Trey from what I've read. He said, I heard that over the next 3 games are not good. They may trade T for some picks, which I don't think they're going to trade T. I don't know. I think there's a chance that they might trade Trey. I don't know. What are you guys hearing? What do you guys think about if this goes downhill? Do they start trading guys? I mean,
I think if that's the case,
I
think if it goes downhill, I think they absolutely should trade Trey. And I think it's literally as short of a timeline as in within the next 2 weeks. If we drop the next 2 and they look just as bad as the previous 2, I have a Trey Hendrickson jersey. I was on his side through this whole negotiation where I'm like, this guy needs to be paid and we need to bring him back. But the best way to do a short-term reset on some things is to take a player like that on a 1-year deal, get the best picks out of it you can, and maybe flip another player that's, not a T. Higgins, but, you flip another player or two on a season that, like, what if you keep him around and you still win 5 games and then he just leaves in free agency, or you have to deal with this negotiation a whole nother offseason? What's the value there? Can you get a first from San Francisco? Like, I know we couldn't during the season, but then you get in, or before the season, but once you get in season, exactly, when guys get hurt, teams want to really make their push, as the Niners might want to. They're 4-1 with their quarterback being out. So,
and Cole King says he bought a house. He bought a house in Tennessee. Well, his mom lives
from there. He's from there.
Yeah, so that has nothing to do.
He's not going to get traded.
Yeah, and his mom lives in Tennessee. Go ahead, Dale.
No, I was just going to say, like, I could understand. What are you getting for Trey if it goes downhill and his contract's up? Can you get a second, a third? And those are solid picks. But at the same point in time, what have they done with some of these second and third round picks?
Right.
So it's like, you know, and you still have Trey Hendrickson, who the way they structured things this year can franchise tag for $30 million, which is honestly really cheap for a guy that can get you sacks. Now I know he had a bad last game, but he looked pretty damn good. He looked like the same Trey Hendrickson that had 17 and a half sacks.
You know when he looked really good?
Years.
When Shamar was out there.
Yeah.
Is Shamar, hey, by the way, is Shamar going to be out there this week?
He's out. He's out again. This is 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
That's another thing of like using your short-term IR 4 weeks. I don't feel like they do that well. This is organizational issues, because that's not just a Zach Taylor.
Yeah, that's a roster spot.
Yeah.
I thought it was supposed to be an ankle thing, right? And they were in the 3rd week now. That's good, AC.
Yeah, that's kind of a killer. And then, of course, you look back to both of these guys that we're talking about, Shamar and Trey Hendrickson. We're talking about organizational stuff. What transpired with both of them all spring, all summer, and now we're looking at a soft tissue issue. And granted, that stuff happens in the trenches, the ankles, the knees, that sort of thing. But he wasn't here in the spring. He wasn't working out. He wasn't doing stuff until into training camp. Same thing with Trey. And aside from the physical possible fallout of that stuff, you have all of the emotional draining and that cloud over a locker room talking about this stuff. And so again, these are the things. I don't know how much, if at all, really it has an impact on these last 2 games or what have you. But when these guys and your superstars are asked about it on a daily basis, that probably has to get annoying and take a toll, right? Like, can we talk about football? Can we talk about what we're doing in the preseason? Can we talk? No, we're talking about Trey and how much do you want him here? When do you expect him back? And all that kind of stuff. And that, again, is just residual stuff that comes with this organization that for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, I'm with Josh. I think all of us were kind of like, just freaking pay the guy. Really? Just freaking pay the guy.
Every week you lost money on it.
It's like, and it's like, oh my God. And then to Dale's point, you trade him. Okay, that's great. You get some high picks. Are you going to get someone anywhere near the case? Yeah, I mean, that's a big risk right there.
That's what I said during the whole thing when they were saying trade Trey. Before we signed him, like, we could get a first-round pick. I said, yeah, but do we trust the Bengals to replacing him? Like, Trey Hendersons don't just grow on trees, and we have a hard time finding them. So, like, when we find them, we need to keep them. So, I don't know. I mean, getting back to the game this Sunday, the thing for me is, and it's just disheartening when you hear the national guys going like, oh, this is going to be an easy win. The Bengals aren't showing up, blah, blah. And the thing that kills me, guys, is I go back to this isn't a talentless team. And we've seen this before. And I'm telling you this, I'm not saying Sunday's going to happen, but I'm telling you, sometime during this season, we're going to get on a roll. We're going to start playing better because that's what they always do. And they're going to be like, you know what? We were so close. What if we had Joe Burrow all year long? I'll be shocked if this season goes so bad. I'll be shocked because I don't think the talent on this team is bad enough where we're going to be awful the entire year. I just don't see it. Maybe I've got too much orange.
But would you rather go 8-9 or get a top 5 pick?
No.
I'm not saying tank, but like
no, I'm not saying. I would rather either if it's going to suck. Let it suck, and then because then it's bad enough where like, all right, they got to do something different. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's the thing.
Well, my thought with what you're saying there is like they're going to get on a roll at some point. Are we sure? Because we're saying that when they had Joe Burrow, because we know how special Joe Burrow is. That's kind of like last year when we got hot late. And we had a healthy Joe Burrow all season, still missed the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Now, I know we blamed the defense, right? And that's why Al Golden's here and not Lou Anarumo. Some things, it's just time. It's time for it to happen. But if they get blown out again and at home and 3 weeks in a row, it's hard for me to say we'll get on a roll at some point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they have the Lions and the Packers, the next 2. They have to find a way to win one of those. Mm-hmm. That's not an easy task. The Lions look incredible. That offense is really good. I still don't think we know what this defense is. Like, the offense has been so bad that we're just kind of still like, what is the defense? Because they give up points and stuff, but they're also out there all the time. We've had a lot of turnovers. They did okay, I guess, against the Broncos, but the Broncos moved the ball at will when they wanted to.
They were out there too much. That's the thing too. It's like if the offense could actually sustain some drives and not go 3 and out, and the defense is out there the entire freaking game, that would help the defense out a little bit.
I would love nothing more than us, and obviously we're all Bengals fans. We all feel this way. We would love nothing more than the Bengals to go out and beat Detroit and find a way to win and be 3-2. And we would all be like, all right, there's still hope.
That does happen.
If we're basing it off the last 2 weeks and what we've seen, the product on the field and the ineptitude of the offense and all these things, it's hard for us to sit here and be excited about facing the Detroit Lions this Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's hard to be excited. But the funny thing is, if they do pull this out, which, like I said, I'm the most optimistic Bengals fan there is. I'm not very optimistic we're going to be able to pull this out because of what I've seen the last 2 weeks. But for some crazy reason, if they do, we're 3-2, and we're still in the middle of I think we might be in the lead or whatever for the division. I have to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head because I've been in baseball mode a lot this week because I didn't really want to talk about the Bengals. I've been so pissed off at them.
Well, that went well. Went well.
Don't give you on that one either. Cincinnati sports. What do you expect? And I got to talk about it every day.
It's always nice to.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing.
Sure.
If that does happen, then we're all gonna be like, all right, well, we got a shot here. That's where I go back to Josh. What you asked if I want to go 8-9 or 9-8. No, I don't. I want either we're good or we're not, and that's where I'm not wanting us to tank. But Dale, you're right. The way they played the last couple weeks, it doesn't look like it's getting any. It's going to get any better.
I do agree with Dale. Though.
It's hard to see that it wouldn't get any better. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I do agree with Dale, though. Like, I'm not quite sure what this defense is yet.
Did you say Dildo?
Dildo, yep. Dildo.
Dildo. I like that. New name.
Yeah. But, like, we don't quite know what this defense is. And I kind of alluded to it, too, previously, that, like, I know we only got a 1.5 game sample size of Shamar. And we don't know what he's going to be. I have a good feeling as long as he can get healthy and be available that I think he's going to develop into a really good player. You saw a lot of glimpses of that in training camp. He was really disruptive. Almost every day at practice, he was knocking down a pass or two. And what he offers dynamically is a really good contrast to Trey Hendrickson because they talk about Trey Hendrickson's a pure pass rusher. He's not that great on the run, but he's actually still above average against the run. And then you've got Shamar, who is as far as the college grading goes, he was an elite run defender, does back down passes, and is disruptive. So if you sharpen up the pass rushing, I think it's a dynamic opposition for Trey, and we got a glimpse of it. There was a 1.5 games, and in the first 2 games, Trey had the largest number of pressures in the first 2 games at the start of the season that he started in his career. And I think part of that to be said is because he had a guy like Shamar Stewart lining up on the other side where he doesn't have to receive double teams the whole time and get all of the attention.
Well, they were also in close games. It's hard to get a lot of pressures when a team doesn't have to really pass the ball because they're up by 20, that's part of it too.
Definitely. So and that all came down to all the turnovers, poor play in those games.
Yeah.
So my question, Dale, you look all this stuff up. What was the grading for Rivers and Fairchild? Because I know Rivers started last week.
Rivers' grade was atrocious, which Cincy Jungle, like I've got some articles on there. I've got all the clips where I clipped up his play. I don't think it was as bad as he was graded. If I'm being like completely honest, he did allow a sack. It wasn't good. I wouldn't say it was good, but I would say it was encouraging. But it graded out at like a 17 or 19. Him and Mims both. And when you give up sacks, your PFF grades are going to be really bad. It's just how it is. Mims, like he gave up 2 sacks, had 2 penalties. Of course, your grade's going to be terrible at the end of the day. And that's the thing. You have to understand what the PFF grades are. It doesn't mean PFF sucks, or it doesn't also mean like believe everything that you're seeing from PFF. You have to watch the tape. And I thought Rivers looked okay. I thought he opened some running lanes, especially early in the game, that we weren't really getting. He did very good, I thought, with angle recognition for how he's able to lock out guys, and Chase Brown was getting a little bit in the run game off of him. So I definitely think, and once you went to him, because I said I would have started Reisner. I would not have put his first start on Monday Night Football on the road in Denver against that defense. I wouldn't have done it. But I was like, if they do it, I don't know how you turn back to Reisner or Patrick, unless it just is really bad for another couple weeks. And I think the Bengals are starting Rivers. So I would stick with Rivers and see if you have your guards. I think Fairchild's been solid, and I think Rivers is going to play better football. Yeah, but he's going to have a good test with a guy we know, and so will Ted with old DJ Reader. Which I said this in an article that hasn't come out, but I can see DJ Reader in the backfield getting a handoff for a touchdown this Sunday. I'm just throwing that out there to everybody.
Oh God, my favorite defensive player.
You could definitely see Dan Campbell doing that, right?
Yeah,
right. So shout Dustin here for the $4.99 super chat. Get the dub Sunday. Get Shamar back, and guess you has a horrific line. I don't know what it means there.
Green Bay Packers. The Packers have a bad line.
Oh, okay. Just slight positive vibe for now. Oh yeah, Dustin.
Injuries.
Dustin with the positive vibe. I like that.
Good vibes.
Good job. What were we going to say?
Oh, I know with what he was saying about Reisner kind of going to the bench. I'm wondering, is there another veteran on the offensive line that might be need to be replaced by a younger guy? Maybe center.
Yeah. I don't think he's looked that bad, honestly, because I flipped up a lot of I did it last week, and I was like, I don't think he looked that bad. Like,
yeah.
And listen, I would like to see what Matt Lee has, but I don't think that's been as bad as people think it is.
And you're probably not wrong about that because you watch a ton of that offensive line tape. But on top of that, sure, there's the literal blocking of it. But he's the quarterback on the offensive line, right? And he's the one that's likely making most of the audibles and adjustments. So is there part of him that you can look at as one of the leaders there that when you have the two guards in the center blocking just the nose tackle all together, is that not like a huge communication issue that bases at that guy right there?
It's two rookies, rookie guards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so then doesn't that fall on the vet to be like, hey, this is where we got to be?
And I guess it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, if you go to Matt Lee, does it look worse? And it's like, well, it could. It certainly could, because then you got Matt Lee, who hasn't played an NFL game with two rookie guards.
Right.
Exactly. Now,
but then you have it's maybe like a year where things are a little bit down, and the opportunity to get him just the trial by fire.
I understand it, and I think it's very fair to say. I would just say, like, it could also completely shoot the confidence of that entire group if they're just getting dominated every week.
Maybe it's not a now thing. If it's week 12 and we're really kind of.
Oh yeah. I think that's fair.
T. Berkey wants to put this out there. Could somebody please acknowledge we played really good defenses? We played some very good defense.
I mean, yeah, but you play who you play. I mean, all due respect. He's probably not going to sub my channel after this one. All due respect. But I mean, you play who you play. And
that doesn't mean 3 points.
No. And I mean, you have to put up a fight regardless of
what did Mac Jones put up?
Yeah. So I get that argument, and yes, that would say maybe a team that was maybe in the 20s to 30s in terms of points per game scored, maybe that drops your average down a little bit. But at some point, I mean, good God, not getting in the end zone and silly turnovers that are returned for touchdowns and all that kind of stuff.
Stop making mistakes.
Excuses. So
I mean, that's an excuse. Exactly.
3 weeks from now, we're going to say, guess what? We just faced Aiden Hutchinson. We just faced Micah Parsons and TJ Watt the last 3 weeks. It's the NFL. Other teams have good players.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I just would like to see us stop making mistakes. At least try to get better. That's all I'm saying. And it's not.
You're not going to play the 31st ranked defense every single week. I mean, you're just not. So you got to find ways to scheme around it. You got to find ways to score points. You got to find ways not to trip over your own feet. I understand that argument. Where I understand that, But
you play who you play.
and-
I'm with you. You play who you play. I mean, you got to beat them. I mean, and the Bengals have done that before. They're just not now, and maybe they won't this year. I have no idea. I like I said, Sunday, I'm going down to Moreland Lager House. I'm gonna have fun on my tailgate. I'm hoping people will come and hang out, and I'm gonna go in the game. I'm gonna drink some beers, hopefully watch the Bengals win, and if they don't, you know what? I'll come back next week because that's just there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, they're either going to suck or they're not. And I think they're.
But that's just sports, baby.
That's
baby. And you have to. I mean, I guess this is kind of every season with teams, but Ice, to your point, you got to kind of want one diametric opposite or the other for the Bengals this year, because the only way that some of these major changes that some of the people want are going to happen is if they have a 4-win season, 6-win season, something like that. Or if they turn things around and Jake Browning plays a little bit more like 2023 and this team rallies around him, then you're talking about a team that is sniffing the playoffs and you go, well, we would have been right there again if Joe Burrow, that may or may not sit well with some people, but it is what it is. But you got to want a diametric opposite outcome to this season for whatever you're looking for.
And that's what I'm saying. We're right there on the verge. It's either going to suck or we're going to get better. If we get blown out, which we very could get blown out tomorrow, I mean, not tomorrow, Sunday, or if the Bengals do pull this out, we're not blowing them out. We're going to squeak it out. We're going to barely win if we win. That's where this is going to go. We're going to get blown out or we're going to barely win. If we barely lose, I'll be shocked, to be honest. I think we're either going to get blown out or we're going to barely win. Go ahead, Dale.
Well, and as fans and content creators, which I kind of hate that fucking word and all this or whatever.
Influencer, baby. Influencer, baby.
I didn't want to bring that one up, to be fair. But, life is much easier when the Bengals are playing well. It's much easier for me to write an article for Cincy Jungle when things are going. It's much easier for me to do. Well, I only do 2 days. It's much easier for me to talk Bengals and say about the good things and have hope for the next week of the season because we're in week 5. If we continue to suck, it's going to feel like just rewind and just play the same tape over and again because we're going to be having the same conversations each week if we're playing awful each week. So I'm rooting for let's win some games and have some fun. And I love the draft, but let me talk draft with late in the season if we're out of playoff contention or after the season. Fully talk it, That's
all
where
right, on that note, I gotta get the hell out of here. Josh, plug some stuff before I let you go.
Oh, I run the Who Dey Nation group, which is a cesspool of craziness. Dale was just talking about how it's easier to talk.
It's really fun right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you talk about how it's easier when it's the Bengals are doing well. Well, our activity has spiked since the Bengals have been doing terrible because everybody's got something to say about that. But we got Who Dey Nation on Facebook. All my pages are on pretty much every social media. WDN Today, which is the acronym for Who Dey Nation. Is that the word? I think I said it wrong. Anyways, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, all over there.
All that. Well, I wish it had the same thing on podcasts because nobody watches when the Bengals suck. But thanks, Josh. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Who Dey?
AC, plug some stuff.
Well, props to Josh. He's I mean, he churns out a lot of stuff. I wish he would have heard me say that, but I also got to say,
he's in the background. He heard you.
All right. I do got to say, Brooks to Rob, I'm sorry. I came out a little strong. I'm sorry, but I understand your position, buddy. I do. But at some point, you gotta start putting points on the board and winning. That's all I was trying to say. I said a little heated. I'm sorry. Don't let that prohibit you from subscribing to my channel or any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But no, Cincy Jungle, Dale's killing it there with a lot more stuff than I am. So cincyjungle.com, and then the Orange and Black Insider, where John and I do some goofy stuff there a couple times a week, and the Believe in Cincy podcast channel. So respect you, Ice. Respect you, Dale. You guys are killing it. You're putting out more stuff than I am, and I appreciate you both. I appreciate Josh.
No, you're the Godfather, brother, and don't ever forget it.
Exactly.
The Godfather.
The Godfather. Anthony Cosenza.
I mean, dude, honestly, you're one of the nicest. I mean, maybe I don't know you too well, but you're one of the nicest people.
I'm a dick. I'm a dick. You know?
Okay, yeah. I don't know you well enough, I guess, but
no.
From my interactions with him over the past few years, just a really good dude. And man, not like you're one of the OGs of all this. And dude, we love everything about you. And you're gracious enough to come on shows like ours. And man, you've given me opportunities with Cincy Jungle. And man, I appreciate it a lot, brother. I appreciate
both you. You know, I got much love for both you, and appreciate you having me on. I got lights clicking off behind me, all kinds of crap. So,
yeah, you're not on a plane or train or.
I gotta check my electric bill. I don't know what's happening here. So love you guys. Take care.
Love you too, brother.
Later. All right, Dale. Okay,
that's a good dude right there, man.
He's awesome because I got his phone number now, so I try not to blow his phone up, but I kind of do, and he still answers me. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. If you don't answer me, it's fine.
Yeah, I'll take my time to say Anthony is one of the best. Josh Iles is fantastic running that Facebook group. I can't imagine how difficult that is. I mean, yeah, your activity spikes, but it's probably like people are just hateful and arguing with each other because I see that and I have to stay off of it a little bit.
Josh wants you to take your shirt off.
I'll just put fuck it, Jamar's down there somewhere, and that should be the motto, honestly.
Exactly.
But and also Sports with Strawberry Ice. This man's been doing a podcast for 5 years. First show I came on, so you know this is one of my best friends. He's a good dude, but he also grinds it out 5 days a week, talking Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, a little bit of everything, and he gives people a platform to talk as well. So you know, this is a good dude right here. Like, subscribe, share the word, not for me, for Sports with Strawberry Ice and his show. I don't care if you watch my shit or not, to be fair. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to drink and I'm going to know things. But this guy's grinding, doing big things. Moorloin Lager House, man. Support this man because he's grinding it out, man. He's a good dude.
Chop needs a shirt for you. I drink and know things. Dale.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the next shirt. All right, Dale. Love you, brother.
Love you too, bro.
See ya. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And yes, the wing. Yes, I'm coming. That's what I'm trying to get the hell out of here. Ocho Cinco is at a funnel cake food truck thing that I'm going to go to. Oh, here it is. There you go. Yes, there she is. Come on, get up there. Yep, she's hanging with So I'm going to go out there too. It's off the Norwood Lateral. Ocho put it out there. So that's what I'm trying to get the hell out of here. I'm going to go there. But thanks for watching, guys. As always, I'm a live show on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me all those along with Instagram, Threads, and TikToks. And please do me a favor. Subscribe to my Substack. I am starting to write some articles on there. I don't know if they're any good or not. I'm just trying. I hope you guys enjoy them. I got like 4 subscribers. So you guys, it's free. If you guys want to subscribe to it, I would appreciate it. I will be pulling off the side later on tonight, putting it on the podcast. Check it out. It's on BeatPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor. Listen to it, rate it, like it, and review it. And leave a comment and a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping required. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
Again, we will be down at Moorline Lager House for 3 hours before the game starts tomorrow. So we start at 1 o'clock. So if you guys get down there like 10 a.m. or something, you're hanging out at your tailgates and all of that, then come on up to Moorline Lager House. If you want to do the all-inclusive experience, it's the best deal in the bank. It's like $60, $65 somewhere around there. It's all-inclusive. Includes your drink and your food. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just come there and hang out. If you don't want to do that, you should want to come and hang out with me. You guys are more than welcome to come and hang out, and you can buy your own beers and food there. However you want to do it. We got beer pong, cornhole. We got football toss. We got DJ kick it there. It's going to be a great, great time. So come on down. I know the Bengals season isn't going the way we want. Well, at least the last 2 weeks haven't. But they're 2-2. And if for some crazy reason they pull this off, it's going to be a lot of fun. But it doesn't matter. I will be here each and every day live at 5:30 talking about the Bengals, talking about the Reds, talking about the Bearcats. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Other than that, remember this. Who Dey for life. No matter how bad it hurts. And that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.